Morning, church. Psalm 40 verse 2 says, He brought me up out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my steps. On the spring morning of October 2007, I woke up to a full-on dramatic nightmare. I squinted as I peeped through the barred windows. The morning dew made the windows frosty, and as I wiped between the security bars, a nurse yanked my door open. "Get up, go to breakfast," she grunted. I entered the small dining hall. Mr. Marshall was scoffing down brown bread and boiled eggs. Petra was cursing underneath her breath in Afrikaans for no apparent reason. Juju fixed her eyes on the box TV in the corner, and Mama Miriam was desperately trying to balance her enormous buttocks on the plastic chairs. She'd just broken a toilet seat a week earlier. I looked around me. The nurses, the security guard with the enormous bunch of keys, the barred windows, the smell of dry blood and surgical spirits. The nurses started administering the medication. Then it hit me. This is a madhouse. I'm in a madhouse. Good morning, church again. When Gabe asked me to preach this week on overcoming, I was a little hesitant because it meant I had to dig deep into my very traumatic past. Weirdly enough, just that week, God kept on bringing me to remember the hopeless state I was in and how He graciously delivered and restored me. Even thinking about it a little bit makes me shudder. It forced me to read my book again, to revisit those very dark days where I was so physically and mentally ill that I was sent to a special hospital where most patients were discharged by being wheeled out in wooden boxes. I landed up in the madhouse at the Fort England Psychiatric Hospital due to a condition I have called systemic lupus erythematosus, or lupus for short. Lupus is a severe autoimmune disease where the immune system doesn't recognize healthy cells in your body and attacks them, making you very, very ill, even to the point of death. It can affect any or all parts of your body, and there is currently no medical cure for the disease. Imagine yourself adopting a security dog, and instead of the dog protecting you, it turns around and attacks you. And that's essentially what lupus does. It attacks it attacks itself, the body attacks itself. For me, the disease came and has come in the form of many, many things. It has affected my kidneys, my lungs. I've had TB of the lymph node, anemia, sensitivity to cold, irregular menstrual cycles, heart palpitations, poor circulation, joint and body pains, bone infarction, easily getting bruised, brittle teeth, hair falling out, rashes on my skin, perpetual flu-like symptoms, extreme fatigue, severe depression, and yes, even psychosis. I've been in and out of many hospitals, suffered humiliation, been mistreated, misunderstood, wore nappies in my adulthood, and left to die in dignity. On an emotional and social level, it also affected me quite heavily. Perhaps like me, you felt this way before. Utterly alone, extremely fearful, isolated, unpopular, unwanted, boring, dull, colorless, a reject, and a hopeless failure. And this is not to depress you guys, but to be authentic about the realities that we face in life. But if it had not been the Lord who was on my side, I can tell you all sorts of things I did to get me out of that state, and I did. In 2017, I changed my lifestyle. I decided to wake up early every day between 4 and 5 to kickstart my productive days. I went to gym 5 times a week. I started eating healthily. I got vision. I started dreaming again, and it helped tremendously. But the reality is that if it were not for the grace and mercies of my God, those things would have remained good, but not transformational. He restored my body and restored my mind. He built my character and strengthen my relationship with Jesus. He's given me an amazing job and something that I struggle to hold down because of the nature of the disease. My teaching brings me great joy and fulfillment, and it's a remarkable blessing and privilege. He's fulfilled my dream of becoming an author, and I didn't think my first book would be about lupus. I've always wanted to be a children's author, but he also fulfilled that dream. My lupus count, which is the way they determine the activity of the disease, it went from 1,180 to 120. And I've been in remission for over 5 years now. And this is just an encouragement to dig in your past as hard as it may be, and remember where you were. But more importantly, where God has brought you now. Remembering can be painful and hard, and we often want to avoid it. But God often told the Israelites to remember how He delivered them from oppression and provided for them even when they were still being oppressed. Things might not be rosy now, but we can always, always, always trust in God's faithfulness. And we can always see His fingerprints in our past. And it should leave us praising Him for His faithfulness and infuse faith in us to trust Him for our present and for our future. Write it down, journal, reflect, remember, and turn to the mercies of God, His grace and His faithfulness. And it's all for the glory of God. Psalm 40 verse 2-3 says, He brought me up out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my steps. He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. Many will see and fear with great reverence, and will trust confidently in the Lord.